Hi, and welcome back. In this lecture, I will introduce you to some of the legal aspects of procurement of innovation and some of the findings and recommendations in the SPICE project. The lecture will include subjects as the concept of procurement of innovation, choosing between the procurement procedures, choosing between different procurement approaches, and choosing between different contractual approaches. The legal aspects in this lecture are all based on the framework of the EU Procurement Directive. In this framework, procurement means that a public authority buys services, goods, or works from a private supplier based on the contract with reciprocal obligations. As a rule, when a public authority is buying services, goods, or works from private suppliers, this can only be done by making the contract subject to competition and by following certain procedures, including publishing an EU-wide contract notice and setting up detailed conditions for choosing the best offer. However, one of the exceptions to this rule is procurement of R&D services and prototypes. This is due to the fact that the EU Commission wants to encourage access to R&D cooperation between private suppliers and public authorities to strengthen the competitiveness of the EU. Many cases in the field of transport and mobility are in fact based on R&D contracts. Some R&D contracts are structured as pre-commercial procurement contracts. With PCP contracts, a public authority seeks to have several different solutions for solving a problem developed in parallel. Although often used as synonyms, PCP or R&D and innovation are not the same, at least not when it comes to procurement. In short, R&D will not become innovation before it is implemented in commercial volumes. Thus, the main difference between procurement of R&D and procurement of innovation is that procurement of innovation is about procuring solutions in commercial scales and in accordance with the rules in the EU Procurement Directive. The conceptual difference between procurement of R&D and procurement of innovation is visualized in the Commission's PCP/PPI illustration from 2014. When a procuring authority wants to buy innovation, said in commercial volumes, it is to choose between a set of procedures made available in the procurement directives. Each procedure is suitable for a different purpose. As an example, an open procedure is suitable for low-tech procurement projects where the public authority is able to specify in detail the object of the procurement. On the other hand, competitive procedure with negotiation is suitable for technically complex procurement projects where the public authority needs to shortlist the best qualified suppliers and discuss technical solutions before deciding on the best supplier for the best offer. Even though procurement of innovation may be supported by any procurement procedure available in the Procurement Directive, the dialogue-based are indisputably the most suitable procedures for procuring innovative solutions. This is due to the fact that dialogue with the tenderers, either as preliminary market consultations or during the procurement process, allows the authority to gradually collect more knowledge on optimal specifications and optimal contractual terms compared to what the market can offer and what the authority needs. This gradually allows the authority to amend the tender documentation accordingly. The competitive dialogue and the new procedure innovative partnerships are the two primary procedures designed to support procurement of solutions which are yet unknown to the procuring authority or, presumably, require great adaptation or redesign of existing solutions and even new R&D. The two procedures are, however, also two most cost and resource demanding procedures. As the competitive dialogue is often far less resource demanding than innovative partnerships, the SPICE project has found it interesting to analyze when to choose competitive dialogue from innovative partnership. This analysis can be found in the attached reading materials, and I strongly recommend that you read this part of the report if you are interested in the subject. Procurement approaches are the operational approaches, technical or legal, one can adopt and mix for each single procurement project to enhance the possibility for an innovative solution to win the tender. Thus, on an operational level, the procurement approaches are the very fundamental preconditions for procurement of innovation. In this lecture, I will only highlight two main procurement approaches here: functional requirements and innovative characteristics as sub-criteria. The final SPICE D3 report on analysis and recommendations contains a comprehensive list of procurement approaches, describing each approach and its usability and highlighting pros and cons for each approach. Functionally based requirements or open specifications may be used in procurement processes to open competition for innovative and maybe yet unknown solutions, to win a tender, and thus to act as a catalyst for innovation. Functionally based requirements can be described as specifications aimed at the needs of the procuring authority rather than specifications aimed at a specific solution, also called descriptive specifications. By using functionally based requirements, one can set the solving of a challenge, reaching certain goals, or giving a certain service as the requirements, which allows tenderers to propose novel and innovative solutions. To gain transparency in terms of what the public authority will attach importance to when choosing between the different bids and solutions, the authority needs to be very precise on describing the evaluation criteria when using functionally based requirements. Focus on evaluation criteria versus focus on the details in technical specifications in conventional descriptive specifications. Focus on minimum requirements to make sure that the solution meets the needs of the procuring authority. Focus on contract provisions on how to test and control the deliverables. Innovative characteristics are a qualitative sub-award criteria based on parameters related to innovation. Using innovative characteristics as quality sub-award criteria will allow the procuring authority to award innovative solutions. To make the award process transparent, the procuring authority needs, however, to specify what will count as innovative and how will it be measured when evaluating the tender. Examples of elements that are potentially suitable for measuring innovation could be how close a solution comes to meeting specific standards, how close a solution comes to meeting specific labels, the extent or quality of emission, drainage, thermal loss, electricity consumption, or fuel consumption. For a more comprehensive discussion on using innovative characteristics and a more comprehensive list of examples, please have a look at the attached reading materials for analysis and recommendations. In this analysis, we have also included examples of subjective measurable criteria for innovation. Procuring new and not yet well-tested solutions may include a risk of not ending up with the solution you had in mind and which you paid for. By using different contract models, a procuring authority can either 1. Stimulate innovation and a successful result during the contract term, or 2. Implement sufficient test procedures in order to either catch inconsistency during development or to create documentation in case of lack of compliance with the technical demands. Regarding stimulating innovation during contract term, the SPICE project has described 3 different types of contracts that are based on risk sharing and certain incentive systems awarding the supplier for fulfillment of his contractual obligations beyond the fixed baseline. All 3 can be read in the added reading materials. The one I want to present here is alliancing or partnering. In brief, alliancing is a contractual cooperation model built upon a partnership between the procuring authority and the private contractor, with equal sharing of risk and cost reductions, unanimous decision-making, and an efficient incentive system. Very basically, the contract model builds upon a target price for the project, including the pricing of defined number of risks. If the project price gets cheaper than the target price, and if the risks are avoided, the value of those savings are shared between the parties. Several aspects of alliancing makes this contract model innovation-friendly. A commitment to develop a culture that promotes and drives innovation and outstanding performance, a very close cooperation between the authority and the contractor, an efficient incentive system making the contractor's optimization of profit dependent on high performance and the risk reduction, an efficient incentive system with fees being not dependent on the size of the project or actual costs. As for the second type of contract models, implementing sufficient test procedures, the SPICE project has described 2 types of approaches, the Agile Contract approach and the Applying Test and Test Phases approach. These can be studied in detail in the added course material. In this lecture, we have learned about the difference between procuring R&D and procuring innovation. We have learned about the different procurement procedures, procurement approaches, and contractual approaches. Whereas the choice of procurement procedure is very dependent on the challenge to solve and the solution to procure, the choice of different procurement approaches is more dependent on how you want to design the competition, for example opening the competition for SMEs or yet unknown solutions. As for contractual approaches, these can either act as a catalyst for innovation during the contract term or ensure that the deliverables fulfill the requirements of the contract. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next presentation on common procurements.